from the New England 30. Carr, end zone. It is pulled. Keelan Cole makes the catch. And the Raiders, with an extra point, can tie the game. Mac Hollins out on defense. He's all the way back. As Stevenson
is anyone going to
is inside the 30, flips it back. Stanford band nowhere in sight.
Uh-oh.
It's picked off.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Incredible. Chandler Jones takes it in and wins the game for the Raiders. Have you ever seen an ending
I
like
have
that?
never seen anything like that. I have no idea why he was doing that. Oh, my goodness.
This is nothing but that sports talk. This week in the NFL is just literally something else, from the finishes last week to that atrocity that happened at the Meadowlands tonight. As I welcome to this episode, nothing but that sports talk. Rafique Louison alongside Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker, I don't even know where to start. You know what? I'm going to start with one particular game that happened this past week. It's bad enough years ago the Patriots were a victim of the Miami Miracle. It's just the Patriots tried something like that, but yet they failed. You cannot explain that lateral pass. You cannot explain that. What just happened?
That probably was the worst play ever in NFL history. That's a good player that made that error too. He just made a really terrible play at the worst part of the game, and it's really like a brain fart. Sometimes even in the best person's career, sometimes you have brain farts. Or just have like really bad moments, like Magic Johnson had bad moments in the finals, but he's had great moments in the finals too. Jordan's had downtimes. LeBron has had. I'm just saying, like all the greats. Wayne Gretzky. But that was just a really bad play for that guy, because everything about that play breeds you can't do that. First of all, you're tied.
You're tied at 24.
So you're going to have an opportunity to win or lose in overtime regardless. You run a run play, which is pretty nifty. Now, I'm not against running that play at the end of the game if it's like an aggressive team who wants to win. And New England has a history for doing stuff like this and working out over the last 20 years, even though this is why this was even worse, because even with excellence comes downfall, because the team that's usually so disciplined, so structured and organized for this committed the worst play in the lifetime of football, probably, because you're tied. You run that play. All right, if you're going to run that lateral play, which is still a risky play at the end of the game, you should just run run down and just go down, or a quarterback kneel, or if it's that bad, just chalk it to the back of the end zone. You know what I mean? For a Hail Mary, I presume. And even that's a risky play. You don't do that, because anything can happen off a turnover. Run a regular play, go down, or just kneel it, so that this way you don't have to go that concede into the overtime. Okay, you run a run play, you're doing that now. You're being aggressive. You're trying to score a touchdown to win right then and then. The first guy laterals it, then he gives it to the next guy. You can't run back and then throw the ball backwards. And you're throwing to
get that ball. Mac Jones should have at least tackled the guy.
No. You don't put your quarterback in a position to do anything physical there, because you need your quarterback to throw the football. Mac Jones is a pretty decent young quarterback. Has his ups and downs, but pretty decent. Why would you throw the ball to the quarterback? Not the guy that you're paying to throw the ball. Now you throwing the ball to him to catch the ball, and you want him to catch the ball, and you threw it 10 yards behind him. then what? He's supposed to blow his shoulder out? If Mac Jones would have made that tackle and blow his shoulder out and went out for the season, they might have never played that guy again.
Never.
Because they would have said, why would you even put him in that position to do that? You know how guys are with their quarterbacks. Your quarterback is the most integral part of your team winning a football game. So you don't put your quarterback in that position. I don't care if it was Jalen Hurts. I don't care if it was Michael Vick. I don't care if it was the most athletic quarterback in history who can go and catch a pass. You don't throw it back to him to make that play. And then that was just a horrific play. And they're going to have to live with that for a while. I'm a Giants fan, so I watch Herm Edwards fumble. We get a fumble and score. And I watch Deshaun Watson get a punt return. And it's just something they're going to live with for their franchise ever. That was one of the most stupidest plays in football history.
Now,
and that guy's a good player.
Exactly. Now, to be fair, especially after we as Jets fans, we want the Patriots to lose, especially after that atrocity that happened against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We want the Patriots to lose, but you know what? Just don't. Oh man, Thank you for filling my head with that. You know what? I'm going to bring the Herm Edwards analogy in this episode. You play to win the game. Hello?
Absolutely correct.
You play to win the game, New England.
Yep. You play to win the games. And that's all you do. And New England made a bad play on that. And, I'm pretty sure. I didn't even watch the game, but I seen the score and I look at the highlights now. The Jets look absolutely atrocious tonight against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They look absolutely anemic, especially offensively. They look absolutely anemic. So their playoff chances are
slim to none. They have to win.
Yeah, it's dwindling.
While we're on the subject, this is the last home game. They got to play the Seattle Seahawks, who's been struggling.
Tonight was their last home game?
Yeah, the last home game.
They're done.
Two road games. They have to play the Seattle Seahawks, even though Seattle's been struggling, so I'm giving them a chance at that one. But Miami, they've been struggling too, but they were going up against good teams. I don't want to give
you just did it right.
I don't want to give the Jets any false hope. But let's not forget let's not forget, as bad as the Jets have been this past month, the Seahawks were no better either.
So they got 2 games left.
Yeah, the Seahawks were no better either. They got to play the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to play Kansas City Chiefs. You have to play the Jets, of course. Their chances are no better either after the way they've been playing. And then the Miami Dolphins, they have a chance to end Aaron Rodgers' playoff hopes.
This is the wow, now that you explained that. All right, so who's the Jets' next opponent?
The Seattle Seahawks and the Miami Dolphins the final week.
So they have 10 days. You got the Seahawks. But you see, here goes the biggest thing. And luckily, they have the extra time. You're going to play. Seattle is not playing the best football coming out at the end of the last part, too. Because remember, they were 6-2 at one point. And they've regressed to, and they're in a division where San Francisco is absolutely surging. So, but here goes the biggest thing. One, it's always tough to play in Seattle for any road team.
That's true.
And the time difference traveling from New York to go over there, and the elevation of the air in Seattle, and they have an amazing home crowd. The Jets can win that game, but that's going to be a very difficult road game to win. Honestly, with 2 teams that are absolutely playing for their lives. Both teams will be playing desperate because that's pretty much their chances, So Seattle is on the outside looking in for a wild card as well too, right? So they'll be playing for their lives, and so will the Jets. That could be a very interesting game. And Miami at the end of the year at Miami can be interesting too, because I think Miami's still trying to get for a wild card. Am I getting that right? Are they still mathematically in? So it's not like they don't have anything to play for. So they could be slipping down a slippery razor blade into an alcohol river.
Exactly.
Really fast.
They did lose on a late-second field goal when the snow just started to come down in Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know how cold they can
Well,
be up there.
so I never forget it. Remember, I talked about it with you. I was watching the show on FSNY, good very show, and it was two guys. There's a moderator there, and the guy asked him, and this is when the Giants and Jets were maybe about 7 wins. I think it was around the time when the Giants just beat the Texans. The Jets had got that 7-win too. This is before, and I think the Giants maybe like lost the next one. The Jets too, but they still were at good paces, right? They were like 7 and something at that time or whatever. And they asked the question on who had the better chance of making the postseason from both of them. And one guy went with the Giants, and another guy went with the Jets, and they were giving both perspectives. And at that point, I was sitting there, and it was interesting because the Giants had a tougher strength of schedule at the end. The Jets didn't, so it looked like more that they were supposed to just cruise into it. But what did I always tell you in football? It's not necessarily who you play. It's how they're playing when you play them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
because when, and then I'm going to get back to the Jets point. For example, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're playing really good football right now.
They're knocking on the door for the AFC South. And then last Sunday, they barely lost to the Detroit Lions, who came in that game stupid hot.
And I'm going to go on a limb. They're going to win the AFC North. And I don't want to see Tennessee in the playoffs. I'm sick of seeing what they do in the playoffs. I want them to go home. South. Is that the one with Tennessee?
Yeah. The AFC
from my opinion, get Tennessee out of here. I don't want to see that crap anymore.
They got the Houston Texans. They have to play the Houston Texans, and the Texans suck, even though they gave it their all against the Kansas City Chiefs, being literally overtime to lose.
And they almost beat the Cowboys. And listen, the Texans don't listen. The Texans might mess around and win. I mean, not say nothing, but the problem with the Jets is that all the teams that they're playing now are just happen to playing good football, and they've had interesting issues over the last 3-4 weeks in regards to the quarterback play. Zach Wilson was struggling on and off the field, so they had to sit him down. Flacco came in and was very serviceable and admirable. Eventually, they went to Mr. White, and White was making very good, won a game for them, threw for 400 and change. Then after that, he wasn't too impressive after that. Then he got hurt. So now, I think he'll be back. He should have enough time off and be back. They'll desperately need him now because the Jets can't score any points. They're absolutely egregious. So with the extra time off, now with him coming back, and still, I love White. I think White is a very good quarterback. I think he can have a career in the NFL, even with or without the Jets, depending on how his future goes, But he's still not that kid yet. And this could be interesting, how everything goes back. Because did Zach Wilson look good to you tonight?
No, he looked horrible.
so
it was just tough to pay attention to that game because he looked horrible. I mean, they got to a promising start when they when they got a fumble recovery and hit that field goal at the beginning of the game. But after that, the offense it just wasn't there.
It was anemic. It was. They're in trouble. I don't think they're going to go to the postseason. I think they'll go 1-1. That won't be enough to do it.
This is the same Jets that somebody that your friend said off the air that had a bright future to the New York Giants. At least.
And I said to him, I said, listen, if you live in the projects and I live in a little apartment on Section 8, we both poor. And I know this much. None of them have a brighter future than anybody. I told him, I said, I think their futures are the same right now because there are parts of the Jets that are very complete. Like their defense is really good with some young kids. You know what I mean? They have good secondary play. They got the kid Sauce Gardner. They have a good safety. They have some good guys on the front four. They're very smart. They have a good coordinator. But there are things on offense that they're lacking too. Now, let's be fair. Their best player, their best running back went out for the season very early this year. That kid Hall, who was a
like you said, it was a breath of fresh air.
He was a breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air because the kid can run the football. Now, when he went out, that changed him. Martin's playing very well for them. Actually, they're running the football. but it's just something with that offense. You need a quarterback that eventually over time guys believe in. They got to look in the huddle. I even though Zach Wilson has rescinded things with the guys in the locker room on his perspective on how they feel and probably view him, it still takes time to get guys to believe. And right now, when you're watching them, you're looking at their offense, you're like, man, do they even believe that they can get a first down? You know what I mean? Their play selection is interesting. It's just all bad. Today was really bad. I mean, I know they didn't have the greatest weather neither. You know what I mean? We know there's rain today and so on and so forth. But that's even more reason to run the football more and take the ball out of Zach Wilson's hand, give him light, short stuff to do, take it easy, and try to win the football game. Jacksonville played great football, but it's not like they scored 40 points. It's not like they scored 30. They had many opportunities to score.
Let's not forget, this is the same Jacksonville Jaguars that came out scoring 40 points against the Dallas Cowboys 4 days prior.
Well, 100%. What was the final score tonight?
The final score was about like 19-3.
That's terrible. You're home. It's 19-3. The road team came from Florida all the way up here. They used to play in the 90-degree weather. It's slippery rain out here in New York, right? It was disgusting in New York and Jersey today. And they came down there and they whooped the Jets butt 19-3. And all those possessions, 3 points is all they can get on the first drive, you're telling me? Off the defense.
Something they couldn't do when they had a chance to tie the game against the Detroit Lions.
If the defense doesn't create that fumble, how many points do the Jets score today?
They would probably score about 10, at least.
No. What was the final score?
It was 19-3. But let's not forget there was that fumble. There was that one play where Wilson did make that catch, but then he fumbled the football.
The offense scored no points. The kicker had 3 points tonight. The offense had no points. No points. The kicker, that's special teams, he made a kick, had 3 points. Their offense scored no points at home on Thursday Night Football in a game that they need against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, yes, scored 40 points last week, absolutely at home. And Trevor Lawrence is a young and really good quarterback, just in case anybody doesn't really know. And the Jaguars have all the draft picks they picked with defense over the years are working up. And just in case, see, the regular guy doesn't know, Jacksonville paid the most money for their defense this year in the offseason. Go look into it after the show. They paid a lot of money for that defense, and it's working out. So not only are the Jets anemic, but the Jacksonville Jaguars took it right to them because that's what their defense does. That the Jets didn't plan good enough, and that hurt them right there. And, you know, I'm not talking any other crazy because of Giants fan, because I'm absolutely nervous about playing the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday. I've already conceded that as a loss.
They came back from 33 down to be a 4-8-1 Indianapolis Colts last week. 33 down. But then again, who we kidding? It's Matt Ryan. This is the same Matt Ryan that choked. He was closer to that in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. So what you expect? And Minnesota been hot at one-score games. We talked about them when they came out to beat Buffalo.
And if anything, I'm about to tell my guy, you know what? Our future might be better because look at it like this. The Giants are at what they at right now and overachieving this year in a short period of time. They were really bad last year and have been really bad the last 6 years, right? And let's be honest and fair. They've been patching up that defense the whole year with guys off the street. You've had many guys hurt. Our free safety got into the accident when he was in Cabo, McKinney, and he's our captain too, with an ATV accident, and he's still coming back. And they might not rush him to come back because I'm going to be honest, they know that he's really good, but they're pissed off that on the bye week, listen, nobody can't tell you what to do. But you went to Cabo, you're on an ATV, you know there's certain things in contracts to be careful about that. You get hurt on the ATV, so now you can't play football. You didn't get hurt on the field. You know what I'm saying? So our free safety is not there. We lost 2 of our cornerbacks this year. 2. We were playing with a lot of guys that were on the 3rd string of the team. Holmes, the other kid, number 40, the other guy, number 44, the one against the Washington, I could kill him. He had the ball for an interception when it was 50 seconds on the clock before the game was going to be over. All he got to do was intercept the ball. It's in his hands.
Oh yeah, you talked about that near interception. I mean, but then again, the Giants did go pull off the win, so you can't be.
Yes, but we also got fortunate because on the last play, that really was a pass interference. Holmes was over that guy all over.
That is also true. We got away with the pass interference, and you know what? Yeah. In a way, you can say the Giants got lucky. I was hoping.
Yeah, thank God.
They stopped the Washington Commanders because that guy Taylor Heineke, prior to playing us, he was on a hot streak. He tied with us before. I mean, we were fortunate to even get a tie and a win against this guy.
Yes. So we're playing with a lot of guys, and even offensively, look at the receiving core. We're not talented in the receiving core. We got Slayton, who can make some plays and can get down the field as a good position guy. Richie James is a special teams guy. He's really a kick returner, punt returner. He has played receiver in different options, 4 or 5 wide throughout the league, but that's not his main thing. He's having a good year this year, a decent year, off being that third or fourth other guy. This guy wouldn't start on many other teams in the league. Trust me. We're not. We've had the issues with Galladay. Is Galladay still playing?
Yes.
You know how much money we're paying him, and he's not making any plays for them. Our tight end got hurt. They poked him in the eye. He just came back. That's a rookie tight end from a school that nobody wanted to pick up. The other guy is a regular guy as well too. We're not. Our veteran receiver tore his ACL the 4th week of the season. Right. This is all, and you also have a young quarterback who's trying to figure out himself, which the organization is trying to figure out if he's the guy they're going to move forward with, who's had like 3 to 4 offensive coordinators in his time there and been on an anemic Giants team where for about 3-4 years, they were having him run for his life because the offensive line was absolutely terrible. This is the best offensive line play we've had ever. And we still have issues that we're going to take care of. So we're patching this team together and better than them right now. And next year is going to be the year where we make the Giants team that we want to do. Watch what they do in this offseason. I promise you this right now. Watch what the Giants do this offseason. You're going to see a more complete team next year. Guarantee you that. And then on top of all that, at least we have something that we can say, you know what? Maybe Daniel Jones is okay for 1 more year. Let's pick up an option on him for light price and bring him back. He'll be fine with a 1 year, $30 million because he's not a big time quarterback and he's still ascending. You know what? Maybe we could work a deal out with Saquon. It's because Saquon is a very talented player.
And you
Maybe
know
they can bring him back.
And you know what? If the Giants did not force those 2 fumbles, one at the beginning of the game that led to the first score, and then that one play where after Taylor Heineke threw that ridiculous pass for about 60 yards, if it were not been that turnover, that turnover in like the second to last possession of the game for the Commanders, they would not be in this position to make the playoffs.
Right.
Let's be fair.
And that's a good point that you made. And that brings up another point that I know they were solid on too. Next year when those 2 corners, when that safety and that corner is completely back with the Giants, and they draft a couple other things, the weakest part of their defense is linebackers. And I know with this offseason and this draft class, Daboll and them is going to bring some dogs at linebackers. So we're going to shore it up. But you know where I know that we're damn good at?
What?
The defensive line. And when you got Kayvon Thibodeau, that young savage.
That was the kid that made that fumble recovery.
He is a savage, a young savage. And remember, you got Ojeler, the other defensive end who just came back a couple weeks ago on the other end, who's been an absolute terror. Dexter Lawrence is an absolute terror. Just go look up some of Dexter Lawrence's play. They're going to pay him right away. They're going to pay him right away. And then you have Leonard Williams, who you picked up from the Jets a year and a half ago, who's an absolute run stopper and a beast in the interior. We struggled a little bit a few weeks when he was hurt, especially at defending the run. He's our anchor for what we do there. On that front 4, a lot of people are nervous of the Giants right now. Trust me, everybody in the league seen Thibodeau what he did last week. They're like, yo, we're going to have to guard this kid. Yep. You're going to have to guard this kid, because if you don't, how do you get the sack, create the fumble, pick up the fumble, and then score the touchdown?
Only Trevor can do that. That was ridiculous. I believe that was the one that made it in the Giants' favor. And you know what? I'm glad the Giants got that victory. What we're talking about them right now, and that they need it. I mean, we said we were going to beat the Commanders. We need that victory. Although let's be honest, they should have won both games. That tie's going to stick with us for the rest of the regular season.
That's why I think if they lose this week, they have to beat the Colts next week. That'll be their season right there.
But you know what? The Giants can clinch the playoffs this weekend if they things have to happen. They win in Minnesota, and then they have to rely on losses from the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions or the Commanders. At least two of those three things I just mentioned have to happen in order for the Giants to clinch.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Well, this one's going to be a tough one to win. But hey,
lose the 49ers, don't worry about that one. The 49ers have been ridiculous.
The 49ers are going to kill them.
Yeah. Detroit, I'm not so sure about that. Seattle losing.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure about.
Kansas City losing. Kansas City, we know how good Patrick Mahomes can be when going up against the Seattle Seahawks. So no blast.
Kansas City's playing Seattle?
Yeah, they're playing at Arrowhead. Seattle's
done.
Exactly. So no matter what happens this weekend, the Giants will be one step closer to clinching a playoff berth. Even if they lose out, they just need Seattle and Detroit and Washington to lose more games.
I need San Fran. Let's go Niners. And what's the other one? Let's go Kansas City. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I guess we're not even gonna get. Yeah, I mean, but as we continue talking about this past week in the NFL, which comeback was more impressive? The Minnesota Vikings coming back to defeat the Indianapolis Colts, or the Jacksonville Jaguars coming back to defeat the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, it's clearly the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe I'm wearing purple for a reason, but I'm a Giants fan. I just crunched down on you guys. Crunched down. The Minnesota Vikings, that was absolutely astronomical. And I'm going to be very honest. I know it's Matt Ryan again. He's got some bad deja vu with him. That is absolutely horrific. Everybody is to blame for that loss. The offensive coordinator,
bad. What you expect?
The defensive coordinator, everybody's to blame. You're up 33. Were they up 33-3?
33-0.
You can't lose that football game.
Exactly.
You just can't
lose that game. They blasted them 40-3.
I mean, they just, shout out to the Vikings for playing 60 minutes of football and, getting their offense clicking so early. And then remember, too, honestly, when we watched the game over, remember, there were a lot of key fumbles and turnovers and that put Indianapolis in position where they scored a lot of points off the turnovers, and they just kind of just snowballed on them. Matt Ryan has bad times, but he's not a scrub. He can throw the football still. And they do have some good offensive targets over there with the kid Pittman. And they have a very good running back, but I think the running back's not out. But they have good targets. But you have to win that football game. And honestly, I didn't even watch the end of the game. I heard the next day, I watched the highlights, when they said it was big everywhere. It was popping like it was CNN. Vikings come back. It's good. I was like, wow. So that was a bad one. But I actually watched the Jacksonville Jaguars and Cowboys one. And, I'm a Giants fan, so it's always sweet to watch the Cowboys lose. But that was just very interesting. And what's so crazy? I got this guy in the back who's a Niners fan. I told him that they're not going to go far because either the Eagles or the Cowboys will beat them. But I just had to call him back and I tell him, listen, all bets are off because Jalen Hurts is out with a shoulder injury. And we got to see how he looks once he does come back off the shoulder injury on his throwing hand. And that last week is why guys like, and I do agree with him on this part, but that's why guys like Stephen A. Smith are going to stick on the premise that the Cowboys always find a way to blow it. When no matter whether it's early or late. And they're a very good team. Let's get this out on the record. They're a very talented team. Pollard is a really good running back. Zeke gives them good stuff. CeeDee Lamb can catch the ball. Gallup is back. They have a really good tight end. They do. Dak is not a scrub, even with some of the – but Dak is not a scrub. He can play. They have a very good defense. Micah Parsons is very elite. He's been very anemic the last 5 weeks, but that's neither here nor there. Micah Parsons is a stud. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, who can rush the quarterback as well too. Diggs gets beat a lot, but he creates a lot of interceptions, so they can make plays. They have a lot of talent on their team. Their coaches, but they're inconsistent. So they'll probably could make a run, and then playing like how they played last week, they probably won't. They better be careful against the San Francisco, or maybe if a Detroit gets into the postseason, because those teams can really ball. But no, the Cowboys, they let that one slide. But it's also, I'm glad when they lose sometimes like that, the teams like that. Because, a couple weeks back, one of my other good colleagues is a Cowboys fan. We don't usually go back and forth. We weren't bickering. But he had texted me one week when I think the Giants had lost to somebody they shouldn't have. Who did we lose to? Huh? Yes, we lost to the Detroit Lions. Who, now stick a pin in that. The Cowboys had lost to somebody that was bad.
They lost to the Packers.
Right. When the Packers was bad, right? Because who else they lose to? They lost to Philadelphia, the Packers, the Jags. And
yeah, let's see.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty well. Let's see. They lose to the Packers. They obviously lost to the Eagles.
Packers, Jaguars, and they had lost to somebody else. It might have been Tampa Bay. I don't know if Tampa Bay had got them really early in the year.
It was the first week of the year, obviously, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right. So my thing is this, that the Cowboys with their team, that they're so inconsistent that sometimes you don't know what football team you're going to get this week. So now I think the NFC is open. San Francisco has a good chance. Bruce Purdy's playing good as a young quarterback. His biggest test would be how we got to see how good he'll be in postseason when teams can prepare for him week by week as a young kid, and how he adjusts defense and what their game plan will be to make sure that they got him to be productive and out of harm's way. That's going to be his big test. But the Niners are loaded with talent, and then they also have to see how Deebo Samuel comes back off the injury he had at the end of the year and reacts to it. And then they have a chance to make a push from there. The Cowboys, if they wake up and just play their act, they have a chance to make a run too. The Eagles are actually the best team. They should be the one to go and ascend, but it's all up to the right now with the status of Jalen Hurts' shoulder. And sometimes that's why I say it's about the timing of when things happen. Because if he comes back and he doesn't look right off his shoulder, that's going to be big for their team. So we shall see how everything pans out. And the comebacks this week was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a pretty interesting NFL week, and we'll get to our NFL predictions for the rest of the games this weekend in a minute. But let's switch gears real quick to some Major League Baseball offseason stuff that just happened. This offseason was not like any other. Aaron Judge re-signed with the Yankees. Yeah, that's no surprise. But for the New York Mets, they let Jacob DeGrom walk, sign with the Texas Rangers. And then they picked up Carlos Correa. They picked up Justin Verlander. You know what? It's just so much pieces that the New York Mets picked up. Like, what are your overall impressions with this Mets offseason?
They won the World Series, right?
Stop it, man.
I didn't think they don't got to play the season, right? They won it. All right,
Carlos Correa. Listen to me. Carlos Correa, Justin Verlander. You pair them up with Matt Scherzer. They're teaming up together for the first time since they were playing, since the trades with the Detroit Tigers. They couldn't get it done then, but they got it done. But they won World Series rings. So let's get your overall impressions about this particular offseason the Mets had.
Listen, I'm gonna be totally objective, They're very they've had they had a phenomenal offseason from everybody else in baseball.
Like what George Steinberger, may God rest his soul, used to do, to pick up these top tier players to make them a consistent playoff team.
This is what I will say. In regards to offseason, they have an A+ on eye and on paper, because nobody has even played a game yet for anybody's team, right? So for eyes and paper, A+, phenomenal. You get Carlos Correa, who's a good young upcoming shortstop in baseball, been on a World Series team. We know what he can do when he's on his game. You pick up the Asian pitcher. You also have to, let me say the pros first. You pick up the Asian pitcher, very good. Steven, what's it, Manji or something of those realms.
Yeah, I think it's Coda Kingo or something like that. Yeah,
something of those realms. So we'll get it definitely locked into the ranks. No disrespect to him, and he looks like he could be a solid acquisition. And then you also pick up Verlander from before. Hall of Fame pitcher, just coming off winning a World Series, 2-time World Series champion, absolute stud. We know what his career will be. What did that? This is Verlander, Correa, and the pitcher, right? Okay, boom.
Coda Senga. Yeah, the Asian pitcher they picked up.
Coda Senga.
But you know what? I don't know much. What we haven't been following the kid, but it's good that they picked up a young rising pitcher anyway. Because Verlander and Scherzer, they're not getting any younger. They can still put up good numbers, but they're not getting any younger. And at the very least, we don't have to worry about how good the Astros is. Astros, they have a good offense, but their pitching kind of regressed a bit.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Really? They snagged Justin Verlander. He was one of the reasons why the Astros had those World Series in the first place.
No. We're gonna slow this down. We're gonna slow down over here. Verlander was on. Was Verlander on both World Series teams with Houston?
Yes, he was.
Right. Okay. Right. So Verlander so he's a 2-time champion, right? He's a 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2-time champion with the Astros.
Astros. All right. Now he's an absolute stud.
They got swept by the Giants.
Absolute stud. You heard me just say before, he's a Hall of Famer, right? Absolute stud. Justin Verlander didn't win no World Series games in the first World Series that he was in. He didn't win no World Series games at all. He was there with Detroit as well, too. Back in the days.
San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, he didn't win no games. So don't come to me with that crap about he helped them necessarily. He don't get the words wrong. Of course, he helped all the way through the season, and he's a stud to get those teams to the World Series. But when he was in the World Series, he didn't actually win the game as their pitcher. He had no wins. If I'm not mistaken, his first World Series win came this year. So it's not like he won the game for them as a pitcher.
That's true.
Okay, so let's break that down and get that one real correct. Now, he's an absolute stud. But here's the con. He's 435 years old. And he wasn't the only one that – go look at the rotation on Houston. I'm telling you, that guy Cueto, the young Spanish left-hander, he's a monster. They have McCullens. They have the other kid. That's why they let Verlander go. You think Houston is stupid? They're one of the smartest organizations in baseball right now for the decision they made. They have another kid coming up. And trust me, in that organization and offense, you get to cruise in as a player. The kid that won the World Series MVP, he's not even 25 years old. They brought him up this year with Houston, put him with the core of those guys, and had him young and blend in. Houston didn't lose nothing. Not saying they didn't lose nothing. They'll be fine at pitching without Verlander.
I'm looking at the pitcher rotation for them. They have this guy on Lambert, Valdez, Lance, McCullers Jr., Christian Jarvis, Vincent Luis Garcia. You take out Justin Verlander, I see your points.
You see who they got on offense, right? They'll be fine in that division. So here goes the biggest thing with the Mets. They A+ for their offseason. They did phenomenal things. Now here goes the cons. Justin Verlander is younger. Not younger, excuse me, is at the end of his career. And he's very solid too. But we also have to see how his health will do up, including, just like you said, with Max Scherzer, who Max Scherzer now is the best pitcher on this staff. Verlander would be a strong second off his veteran status and so on and so forth. They have other young arms who they did keep, some who they did let go. We'll see how the Asian pitcher develops too. Every Asian player, Asian pitcher, doesn't necessarily come to the major leagues and always be great. So we have to see how this kid, not over there, how he does here in the major league. So that's another thing that's a con as well too. And, you know, I wish the best with this, and the contract's already locked in. And he'll have a long career so they could take care of him over time. Let me tell you how the Mets are sometimes they do desperate things. Carlos Correa is a great pickup. He's a World Series champion. This guy can hit, young player, good defensively, 100%. He signed with the San Francisco Giants. They gave him a lot of money, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They rescinded the deal because they seen something in the physical and his, I guess, workout, but mostly the physical. That they were like, we're fine. Hey, bro, we walking away. We good. And let me tell you something. The San Francisco Giants organization is very intelligent. For years, they find a way to win with not that much money and less. And they always keep themselves competitive. Am I saying something that's not making sense? So they know what they're doing. If they ran like a woman running away from a robber from this guy right now, it's for a reason. And as soon as they let him go, who runs like a damn groupie to go get him right away? The baseball team in Queens, because they must be super desperate. And they give him 13 years, $315 million. Good luck. God bless. I pray that he's healthy for you this year, because if they've seen something in the medical that they don't like, I think they should be aware of that as well too. But they don't care. That's the Mets. I wish them the best of luck. I hope they win 110 games.
You know, that's pretty much the reason why they let Jacob DeGrom walk. Not saying Jacob DeGrom didn't do a lot. He was a two-time Cy Young Award winner for the Mets when they were bad. Not saying he's not good, but
he's the best pitcher in baseball.
But his health and injuries were a concern for the New York Mets. So I don't blame him for letting Walker go to another bad team in the Texas Rangers. So yeah, but let's not forget.
Hold on.
Improved this offseason. So there should be no excuse for them to choke the AL East this time around, at least. No excuse.
And let's get the record straight here. The Mets didn't let Jason DeGrom go. He chose to leave. They wanted him back. They were trying to get him back. He decided a long time ago he is done as a New York Met. He's put in a lot of years there as a solid pitcher with no run support. His best run support has come in the last 2 years, and he's been injury hit, so he's never really got to enjoy it. So he's probably bitter with the whole thing of New York and the Mets. He fell out of love with New York and said that a long time ago. So it's not that the Mets didn't want him, because it would be absolutely idiotic to not want the best pitcher in baseball. He didn't want to go back there. He left a long time ago. I think Texas got him for cheap. He could have probably got some more money, but there's no state tax out there, right? So he'll be fine. Yeah, so he'll be fine. And let me also, I have this good friend, and I hate to ramble. I have this good friend named Jay Red, who I educate him about baseball. I said, don't go off consistent bad years by a team, and don't go off of the name to say this team is always bad, because certain teams in baseball, it's about the players that are coming on the team and the young prospects, and you're going to be very surprised. I guarantee you, in 2 years minimum, they won't blow anybody out the water, but they're going to be decent and competitive. I guarantee you, in 2 years, the Texas Rangers are going to be really good. They had a lot of hitting on their team this year and young kids. They just had no pitching. anywhere from bullpen to starting rotation.
Comes in. He's gonna be a big step in the right direction for that Texas Rangers pitching. Like, seriously.
We know how to play against him anyway, but thank God we probably only play Texas 7 times out the year, because he's going to do very well in the American League off top now, as long as he can stay healthy, because he's been in the National League all those years, and everybody knows he's great and he's a stud, but that was the National League seeing him all the time. It's going to take a while for the American League to adjust to him. They will eventually, and it's not like Jason deGrom is younger at the the middle of his career. He's at the twilight, close to the end. That's why he took a 5-year deal. So it is what it is. This is baseball, man. Sometimes you just never know. You can say, "Oh, Texas is going to be bad. They're a really bad team." Nobody predicted the Phillies to go to the World Series.
Nobody, not even that young lady that I introduced you to, who's a 2-time Emmy Award winning producer.
Deb.
That Debbie lady that came on the show recently. She didn't predict the Phillies were going to get that far.
Right. None of us did.
We didn't predict them. The Mets and Braves were the top of the divisions. They both went home early.
Exactly. But they did well. Listen, Correa's a good guy. They got it locked in for a long time. Hopefully they be good. This billionaire guy, he's going to spend all that money, do all that. Yeah, do what you got to do. And that's the other thing, too. I learned that as a Yankee fan. It's not about spending the most money. It's about spending the right money. So just because you spend the most doesn't mean you're going to guarantee to win the World Series. They all got to play the 162 games.
I remember when Albert Pujols signed that big contract to play for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for 10 or 15 10 years. The Angels went absolutely nowhere.
Correct.
All right, now on to another New York team, or a couple of New York teams that were, at the very least, they were killing it.
Oh God!
We're not even in the summer 2013. We're not even in the summer 2023 yet, and New York basketball is already hot. I'm talking about the Brooklyn Nets 7-game winning streak, currently highlighted by a 4-game road trip sweep. Kyrie Irving hitting a buzzer beater against the Toronto Raptors, and a come-from-behind win against the Detroit Pistons. So, what are your overall impressions about this current win streak of the Brooklyn Nets?
To quote the words of Ryan Ruocco, he said, "Kyrie Irving, cold-blooded." Kyrie put them pistols. That Reggie Miller, and they put them pistols out. Listen,
Canada's face.
It is so scary how good they've been in the last, both teams in the last. There's so much sports going on in New York right now that kind of went under the radar. And, because Brooklyn is staying together now and got all their guys together. They've been through so many issues the whole year. It's always, it's scary. Maybe until they get to the playoffs, but because they went through all their issues, I think sometimes when they do good things, to the NBA insiders, we all know, the basketball nerds, we all know, but they didn't really illuminate what they're doing now because they're playing really good basketball with all the guys there. And the Knicks, man, they're playing. I mean, excluding the loss to Toronto.
Siakam go have a 50 piece at the Garden.
Yeah, did he have 50?
Yeah, 52.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah, but what you expect is Pascal Siakam. You know how good the guy is.
I know Siakam's good. Siakam's a stud. Okay, but I ain't gonna lie. The Knicks can't let that boy score 52. He ain't Kevin Durant. I mean, 50. Siakam. But I was watching. He was killing it. And Van Fleet was making some big time shots. But the Knicks, excluding that, and even then the Knicks played well. The Knicks have been playing very good basketball, with winning 8 straight. Not 8 on the last 9. Very solid. Jalen is playing really good basketball. Julius Randle's playing really good ball. RJ Barrett is in his groove, playing solid ball again. They figured it out with the younger lineup. Quentin Grimes in there playing solid basketball for them. Mitchell Robinson, it's working out. McBride, the younger guys, quickly they're bringing a different to the team. let's see how Obi fits in when he comes back. And they're trying to acquisition, get Rose and other guys back into the act. But it's been working this way, and the guys been winning. And both teams are playing very well right now. Brooklyn's playing very well. This is the Brooklyn team that people want to play like that, so that they can be a threat in the Eastern Conference and try to have a chance to go at it. So the top five, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say anything's gonna change. I think the top five in the Eastern Conference is gonna stay the way it is pretty much for the entire year. I think it's gonna be who's ahead now, the Celtics or the Bucks? They keep flip flopping.
Yeah, it's kind of flip flopping. I believe the Bucks are the top seed right now. Not the Dallas.
Well,
then the Cavaliers,
those guys,
then the Brooklyn Nets, then the 76ers, and then you have the New York Knicks with the 6th seed. They're
right.
well ahead of the 11th seed, so you can't say they're going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, well, 7 to 11 was my number. 6 is the max that I said. So the 1 and 2 is going to be flip flop between Brooklyn and Boston, but those will be the 2 top seeds. The Cavaliers will probably stay cemented at the 3rd. They're a solid ball club. The 4 seed most likely will stick to be who's in the 4th slot right now?
The Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets. We know that's going. We know how they give it up. And the 5th seed with the Sixers just quietly winning games. Now both guys are back, Harden and Embiid. They'll probably stay alone at that 5th seed. So now it's up to us as to just stay cemented at that 6th seed, because honestly, that would be a good matchup to play the Cavaliers, even though the Cavaliers are better in the first round. They play the Celtics or the Bucks. They can just pretty much pack their bags. You know what I mean? But they should stay at that 6th seed. I hope they don't get into a bad funk and go to the 7th or the 8th. But they just also have to remember that Atlanta will get DeJounte Murray back, so they'll be still fighting on that lower part. I was waiting for the surge, but I'm starting to think and believe that Miami's not that real. Miami's probably going to stay at the. They are what they are. They're going to win 3 straight and then lose 4. So Toronto's probably going to have a down year, even though they just kicked our butt last night. Siakam at 52. But the Knicks have a good chance to stay where they're at and go from there. And Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks are playing very solid basketball, so it's good to see that.
Exactly. It is good to see that both New York teams had a hot streak of at least 7 games. This is what we want both New York teams to have. This is what we want.
100%.
And yeah, now let's make our predictions for Christmas Day coming up. Starting with the Knicks and the 76ers. The Knicks should win this game, but this is Philadelphia. I said this off the air. The Knicks are not better than the 76ers. So, yeah.
Well, whoever thinks that needs a drug test. And, I love my Knicks, but there's nobody on our roster that we have that is better than Joel Embiid, period. So, and James Harden, older and regressing, but still a decent basketball player. They have good other role players, Shake Milton. I don't know, is this kid hurt? Maxey, is he there?
I think he's still there, yeah.
Maxey, Tobias, they have good little role players on their team. I think for betting gamblers, it should be the Sixers that win that game. But that's an interesting game. I know this much. I know if the Knicks win, my man is gonna call me right away. Because yeah. So I go to Sixers to beat us, I guess, on Christmas Day. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, but I'm gonna take I know what I said, but I'm gonna take a gamble and ride with the New York Knicks on this one.
Good. Nice.
Lakers, Mavericks, it's obvious. LeBron's probably going to go off, even though, the Lakers have been kind of below. They went from being bad to just below average. They were playing well at one point, but LeBron's going to, LeBron's going to, how LeBron gets it up on Christmas Day sometimes.
What, they're in Dallas?
Yeah, they're in Dallas.
Luka going to have 40. Lakers losing. And they don't got Anthony Davis. Luka having 40.
Yeah, you got an interesting point. But then again, the Mavericks have been average, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, Except the time they kicked our butt 2 weeks ago, and the next time they went on an 8-game losing streak. I'm still pissed off. I'm still so upset the Knicks lost that game to the Mavericks. But
they're on an 8-game win streak. But look at the price side. After Christmas Day against the 76ers, you got a chance to redeem yourself because they closed out the month of December with a 3-game road trip, or in this case, a glorified Texas
Houston
triangle.
Texas, yeah,
San Antonio. So
Texas two-step.
But they got the butts kicked by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they redeemed themselves and beat them during the road trip. So
this is true.
I wouldn't give myself any negative. Don't give the Knicks any negativity, please. Okay. Celtics, Milwaukee, the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. Well, the Celtics have been struggling a bit. Milwaukee, so I'm gonna pick the Milwaukee Bucks to win that one. Who you got?
Where they at? They in Milwaukee? They in Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. The Celtics haven't been playing too good lately. You know, but they wake up during crazy times. They're on national TV. I'm going Bucks, but I'm not. You see how confident I'm saying that? That's gonna be a nice Christmas Day game.
Exactly, a true battle of the East. And you got the Memphis after that, Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Now, this is a very interesting matchup because this will be the first time ever the Memphis Grizzlies play on Christmas Day.
They're gonna slap the Warriors. They don't got no Curry.
Yeah, no Curry. I mean, both New York teams smacked them on 30 points. As happy as I am with the New York Knicks and Brooklyn Nets won those games. Yeah, that was pathetic that the Warriors went through this past week. Seriously.
Book me. I'm gonna go bet it on FanDuel. Christmas Day, Ja Morant, triple-double. Book it. Triple-double Christmas Day.
And to finish off Christmas Day, you got the Phoenix Suns going up against the Denver Nuggets, and it will be at the Ball Arena. I'm picking the Denver Nuggets. Home court, for the sake of home court advantage-wise, I'm going to pick Jokic. I mean, he's clear, even though the Suns had a playoff success against the Denver Nuggets a while back, Jokic is a better center. I'm sorry. Yeah, he had a 40-point triple-double with 20-something rebounds and 17, 10 assists or something like that. So I'm picking the Denver Nuggets to win this matchup. Who you got?
Yeah, I like the Denver Nuggets too. And honestly, for you to say that he's the better center in this matchup,
then DeAndre.
It doesn't even matter. He's the best center in the league. There is the only center that is better than him when he's playing his full game of potential is Joel Embiid. When Joel Embiid is playing his full potential, he's the best center in the league to me, in my eyes. But excluding that, because he's not playing at his highest level now, still recovering, coming back, Jokic won the MVP last year and has been solid from the jump street off top and ascended every year. And he's the best center in the league. He can shoot the three. He can score on the post. He can face you up. He can shoot the mid-range. He's a phenomenal passer. He rebounds the basketball. He's not the quickest to feed defensively, but he's not a slouch defensively. He's got a body and a presence, can get his hands up there for a shot block. He can dribble. He can do everything. So the Ayton will get Ayton is a system center. A lot of his stuff comes because of what they doing in that system, but he's not like that. God bless him that he signed a big contract. He can't do nothing with Jokic. Jokic might eat him alive. It's part of my French.
Yeah, you got interesting points. Well, all right. Now switch up to some NFL picks. I mean, this is a rare NFL Saturday when they play out the Sunday schedule. I mean, obviously because Christmas Day is on a Sunday this year, and well, even though there are some games being played on Sunday too, it's not your typical NFL Sunday. This is NFL is Saturday. They do this all the time, so it's not really surprising. But yeah, now for the Saturday matchup, first off, Buffalo and Chicago. Even though the game is being played in Chicago, we know how good Buffalo's offense is, so I'm picking Buffalo to win this one.
Yeah, I like Buffalo too as well. In a very tight, very good game. Chicago's playing very solid football though. The last couple of weeks, Fields been doing good stuff. I don't. Is he banged up? Did he get hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt, but let's not forget Justin Fields. He can still put up good numbers, even though the Chicago Bears suck.
Yeah, they're terrible. So Bills winning a close one.
Yeah. Cleveland Browns, New Orleans Saints. I mean, I would pick the New Orleans Saints. I mean, Saints, even though for a bad team, they have a chance to make the playoffs in the NFC South. So, you know the Saints are going to come in hungry for this one. I'm picking New Orleans.
Who cares? It's a sucky game. They probably tie. I mean, the Saints, I guess. I'll go with the Saints because they're hungry for a postseason slot. But two teams that, from my eye test, I don't like what any of them really have been doing in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Tennessee Titans, Houston Texans. We already went over this earlier in the show. Tennessee will blast them out, even though Houston's been competitive. They're hungry for that elusive second win of the year.
I'm riding with the Texans. Tennessee is trash. I never believed in Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he's that good. He's okay. He's not that good. Henry's struggling with them. They struggling. They starting to get nervous. They're going to give that division up. I'm riding with Houston. Houston getting their second win, and they're going to upset them. That's going to be the upset this week. And they're going to upset them, and they're going that's I'm telling you, they're going to struggle if they win that game. I'm going with the Texans. I don't care.
Kansas City Chiefs, Seattle Seahawks. We already over this. Kansas City will rail run the Seattle Seahawks. Sorry about that.
Mahomes, my homeboy.
Giants, Vikings. I have faith that the New York Giants can win because let's think about it. Combined, all of the wins this season for both of those teams have been by one score.
That's very true. But see the win. Yeah, we said the win. I'm sorry, so that's true. But the biggest thing about this game with the Minnesota Vikings for the Giants is that at some point, because the Vikings are a very interesting team, and the Giants are playing very scrappy and tough on defense. So it's not like we can't make plays and do things to disrupt some of the things that they're doing. But the Vikings have a lot of really skilled offensive players. Justin Jefferson, Delvin Cook, the tight end. I mean, they're stacked. Adam Thielen, they're stacked. So
it's not like as if the Vikings never had chances to lose the games they played this year.
100%. But here goes the biggest thing. The Giants have to score 25 points minimum to me or above to win because the Vikings at some point are going to find a way to move the football. Guys, they were down 33-3 last week. It was the third quarter. They came all the way back. That's something the Giants have to be mindful of. Last week, we scored 20 points, right? One of the touchdowns is a defensive touchdown created by Kavanaugh Thibodeau, right? So the defense scored 6 points. The other one was a Saquon Barkley run in the first or second, or just maybe the second quarter. Even though Saquon had a great game and made great runs in the second half, he had a spurt where he was just spinning off every guy for like 5 plays straight. We scored one offensive touchdown. The rest of our points were through field goals, and we won 20 and change to Washington. We can't just score 20 points against the Minnesota Vikings unless this is going to be one of the greatest defensive days in the history. And anything can happen in that place. But if it's cold, they're going to close the top of their dome. But they cannot score just 20 points and expect to beat the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are gifted offensively. That's their problem. And they actually have got, even though you can move the football against the Vikings, they have guys that can hit. So being that both defenses are very good on both teams, the key is, can the Giants muster up enough points to beat the Vikings? And if they can give you 25 plus points, they'll beat the Vikings this week because I believe that in their defense. But not if they score 20 and below. They will lose.
Yeah. I'm picking the Giants to win anyway, but
I'll go Vikings.
Yeah, I understand. I get it. Cincinnati
Am
Bengals,
I
New England Patriots. That's going to be in Foxborough, but I'm picking Cincinnati to win. I'm sorry. I'm still not. I'm not going to let the Patriots off the hook after the way they played against the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not letting them off the hook. I'm really not.
I like the Bengals too. New England will be prepared, but I'm pretty sure last week mentally that was a tough loss. I like Cincinnati.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers, Detroit Lions. This is interesting. The Lions have been hot, but the Carolina Panthers, even though they're coming off a loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Carolina, they're fighting for the division. They're fighting for their playoff lives. So this matchup is very important.
I pray that Carolina can win. But actually, don't we need Detroit to win? Who do we need?
We need Detroit to lose.
Yeah, let's go Panthers. But the Lions are playing really good football right now. This is no joke. They're playing really good football. Goff is playing at a high level offensively, leading this team. Their running back is really good. They have really good receiving targets. Their tight end is really good. The defense is playing really good. It's going to be really tough for Carolina to win this football game. But trust me, I am rooting for Carolina all the way through. Please help us, please. But it's going to be tough. The Lions are playing really good football. They started off 1-6. They have now won 7 out of their last 8.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Tough. Atlanta Falcons versus Baltimore. The Ravens are going to be with
Atlanta's dead.
So I'm going to pick the Falcons to win.
No, but the Ravens' backup is pretty good. It's the no, I don't believe in the Falcons at all. Baltimore, even with a backup.
Commanders, 49ers. I'm picking the 49ers to win this one. Sorry, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who's going to make an appearance on the next episode, by the way, on New Year's Day. Look out for that. Or New Year's Eve. Yeah.
They're going to absolutely kill the Washington Commanders. They don't have enough points. The Niners' defense is really potent. And we need this. We need San Fran to win. We need them to win so bad. Thank you, San Fran. Come on, San Fran.
Cowboys or Eagles? Well, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Cowboys to win this one, only because even though the Cowboys, at least if they win this game, will have a slim chance to win the NFC East, but not really. That's assuming Jalen Hurts doesn't play.
Once I knew Jalen Hurts was out, my quick mind was to say, all right, now the Cowboys are definitely going to win this football game. But I could be wrong, but I beg to differ. I mean, first of all, remember, Minshew played on the Jacksonville Jaguars early in his career and has been on the Eagles for a while. He's actually played games with the Eagles and done good things. I think he's very solid. He doesn't really turn the football over. He can't run and do the same thing, the run-pass option like Jalen Hurts can. Jalen Hurts brings up different dynamic with that. But he can throw the football. And this, I might sound crazy. I'm picking the Eagles, and the Eagles are still going to win this football game this week without Jalen Hurts. I know they're playing in Dallas, and Dallas will be turned up, and it's going to be a big-time game. But Dallas did come off a really bad loss last week, so they got to kick that out their gear. Their defense hasn't, excluding a few plays here and there, but Trevor Lawrence fumbled on one play on his own, which he should have went down earlier. But they haven't been creating those same kind of turnovers, their defense. And I still like I said, I sound crazy. I like Philadelphia still to win this football game.
That's fair. Steelers or the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, you know the Raiders, they're low-key knocking on the door for the last playoff spot. With the Jets not doing so well, they have a chance. They picked up big wins against the Seattle Seahawks, and we already went over the win against the Patriots. So, Vegas, they're going to be going hard in this one, even though, well, the Steelers are going to be emotional because Franco Harris passed away this week.
Yeah.
May God rest his soul. He was part of that whole championship legacy that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. But before we continue, he's going to be honored in this game. It's supposed to be like the holiday special. But before we get to that, I mean, obviously, you probably weren't alive. We weren't alive during Franco Harris's career, but when you as long as you study football, like what were your impressions about the type of career that this guy had?
Oh, he was a stud. Tough, physical, blue collar, just like the city. And it's a huge loss for the NFL, not just Pittsburgh. Because he's one of the pioneers, for many things, for the aspects of football. So that's going to be a tough one. I want to pick the Vegas because Vegas is hot and tough now, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers and the whole nation might rise up and play for the love of Frank, and they might mess around and find a way to sneak this game. And I tell you, every time I pick the Raiders and think the Raiders have something, the Raiders always lose. Now I believe in the Raiders now. Watch them lose.
Yeah, you got a point. You got an interesting point. Okay, now on to the games that are being played on your not so normal NFL Sunday. Packers, Dolphins. I'm picking the Miami Dolphins to win this one. I mean, come on, let's be real. There's no way the Packers are going to make the playoffs. I know they did beat the Rams, but there's no way they're making the playoffs after the year they've had.
Where's the game at?
It's being placed in Miami.
Oh, yeah. I don't like this game.
As much as you want Miami to lose for the sake of the Jets' chances of making the playoffs, this is a challenge. I'm not going to hold you. This is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I'm going Miami too, and Green Bay's got a lot of issues going on this week, even after the win. I'm going to go Miami.
Yeah. Broncos, Rams. Well, this is one of those who cares games because
who cares? Tie.
Both
stink. It stink.
I mean, Nickelodeon is going to be simulcasting this game with CBS. I don't know what they're doing with that, but whatever.
They need to slime all the players. I guess Baker Mayfield wins.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are impressive, but not really. They suck this year.
They stink.
Cardinals, Buccaneers. Well, the Cardinals are not going anywhere, but Tampa Bay, they're bad, but they're trying to get into the playoffs by winning the NFC South as well. So obviously,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tom Brady's going to be hungry.
Yeah, you're right. The good words. Tom Brady's going to be you don't want to come down to a game against Carolina and it be the win at all, especially with Tampa Bay not being fully healthy and just not playing, listen, Tom Brady's starting to rescind. He's not 27 years old no more. And Tampa Bay doesn't have a lot of their skill that from players as they used to in the past. So they have to win this football game, definitely against the Arizona team that's not really exceptional. Arizona just won the other day. They played a team that was shitty, pardon my French, that was crappy in order to get their first win in a while. So I think they beat Denver, right?
Yeah, they beat the Broncos.
Yeah, you beat the Denver Broncos, who are absolutely horrific. And the Cardinals have been absolutely horrific before that. So the Cardinals are in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you have the Indianapolis Colts and the Los Angeles Chargers. Well, the Chargers have to lose for the sake of the New York Jets, but that collapse that happened down in Minnesota is going to be a bad taste in the mouth. Chargers
are going to win the football game. Sorry, Jets.
Without question, indeed. Well, that will wrap up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I hope everybody has their holidays, and you're probably not going to see me on the air until Kelsey Nicole Nelson, until the episode with Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I don't know. I mean, Ryan, if you could come on, if you're available to come on the show, we'll go for a week off the air. But Kelsey Nicole Nelson will be coming on the show. We'll talk about her Commander season. We'll talk about her sports year 2022, what she expects 2023. We'll recap everything some of the best sports moments that we saw in 2022, because there was a lot that happened in 2022. It was a phenomenal year in sports, not just in pros, but in high school, college, street ball,
yes.
Everything.
Yep. World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup. And yeah.
And in the future too, I got some platforms too. We got Crunch Time coming up real soon.
Crunch Time January 23rd.
Yep, it's gonna come real soon. And I got another big event with my guy that he's organizing now. It'll be here in the summertime. I'll send you a flyer for it for the summertime. We got my Memphis, Atlanta, New York, and I think there's another site, another area that we got. We're gonna have. It's gonna be like our version, I guess, of a TBT, and I'll be showcasing and announcing and doing stuff with that too. That's my guy. But that's a lot of other things that we're gonna get out there. Plus, I got another, which I got to tell you behind closed doors. I got to tell you another platform that I'm about to do at Crunch Time, where we do a lot more live, like play-by-play on top of interviews and so on and so forth to play this. So we got a lot of things working and brewing coming up soon. This is why I'm taking a lot of time to get the energy and rest to do it now, because it's going to get real busy. And then you said, like, look how we're covering high school right now. Like, high school basketball in New York right now is insane. It's insane.
Without question. Without question.
So,
without question, you see me cover that. You see me covering that Nike Switch Classic. You might.
Yes.
Get to come on the show that cover high school sports. We're gonna go over that. That's gonna be the future of the Nothing But the Sports 2023. And I'm gonna
the Catholic League and the public school right now. There's no bad games, no bad nights.
Yeah, none whatsoever. I heard my alma mater, Canarsie High School, they killed it at that tournament all the way down in Florida.
Yeah.
So
New York is Canarsie, Zavarian, South Shore, Eagle Academy Brooklyn, Eagle Academy Bronx, Wings, Christ the King, St. Ray's. Oh my goodness!
Any best high school highlights that I witnessed, whether I'm in the game, at the game, or watching it on social media, you're definitely going to hear that be discussed. And obviously you're going to update me on everything that happens in Crunch Time and the other stuff you're talking about. Now, we got all the sports covered, which is what that sports talk is all about. As I mentioned before, when I started this platform 4 years ago, we break it down news, stats, and everything from college to the pros, which is now everything from high school to the pros, because, high schools, they need their recognition too. They're the future. Get your head in the game.